Your time and attention. I do appreciate your time and attention. So, as Smitha said, I am here to talk to you about the employee assistance program that is provided to you by your employer at no cost through Health Advocate. So, but before I get started, I just wanted to at least, give you a visual, say hello. But I do like to turn off my camera because I move my hands too much and it's very distracting to watch myself over there in the corner. So, but I will certainly come back on when we do Q&A at the end. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. I hope that everyone can see my screen. Welcome, Columbus City Schools. So let me tell you a couple things about Health Advocate before we get into the details of the Employee Assistance Program, what we call EAP. So Health Advocate is a service that provides hands-on support. So there's a variety of health and well-being issues. We're providing compassionate and confidential help that's available 24/7. This is unlimited access for you and your eligible family members, and we'll talk more about who they are. We have an interactive mobile app as well as a website. And as I mentioned earlier, this is provided to you by your employer at no cost to you. So please, if you have any questions, pick up the phone, just give us a call, and we can even tell you more about our services if you have additional questions. So let's begin by talking about the EAP. So EAP is a short-term solution-focused. You're working with an EAP professional to help address a wide range of issues. So these issues can be stress-related, depression, anxiety. It can be work issues, conflict with your coworkers, maybe even a conflict with your boss. You just want to talk through some, frustrating moments, talk through marital issues, family issues, and just parenting issues altogether. But also talking through some anger, frustrations, loss and grief issues, and even substance abuse. So we then will provide referrals for more long-term support. So the right EAP experts to guide your way, and I want to let you know who our EAP providers are. So these are all master's level clinicians, and I am actually a master's level clinician myself. I have been out of the field now 6 years since I've been at Health Advocate, but I have the knowledge and the background of, from a clinical perspective. We also have work-life specialists, financial and legal experts, multi-language capabilities. So we are able to provide assistance in over 200 languages. And recognizing we recognize those leaders in the field. So we do have services for our managers as well. And then all senior leadership are, it's a certification, it's called CEAP certification. So our senior leadership have that level of certification. And again, we are here 24 hours a day to provide you that support. So I want to let you know who is eligible for the services. So we provide our services to the whole family. And when I say whole family, I'm talking about the employee, their spouse or domestic partner, the dependents who are on your plan, as well as your parents and your parents' in-laws. Now, one of the nice things about this, besides the fact that we've extended our services to the parents and parents-in-laws, is that your spouse doesn't have to be on the plan. Let's say you chose a plan, it's just you and your spouse, you don't have children at the moment, and for whatever reason, your spouse chose the plan at their employer and you have the plan with CCS. Your spouse can still call us and we will still work with your spouse in providing them services. So that's a nice feature to our service. So we are providing you a complete EAP model. So there's various components to this service. There is management assistance program. So that's geared toward managers, folks who are at the manager and supervisor level. So you may be wanting to call and talk through maybe a performance evaluation that you have to do with an employee, and maybe there's some anxiety about it. Maybe you're anticipating it to go not so well. Well, you can talk to our clinicians and talk through some of those concerns that you have to sort of help, process that whole, evaluation that you're anticipating. We provide critical incident support, which is if there's a loss, a death of a coworker, or unfortunately, school shootings. Unfortunately, those things happen. We can be on site in a matter of hours to provide support. We can provide on-site and virtual training, such as this virtual training. But also we are, providing that mental health and behavioral health counseling, again, the clinical and work-life support, and those mobile and online tools. So I want to kind of give you an idea of what it's like when a member calls and contacts Health Advocate EAP services. So when you reach out to our service, you're going to connect with a care manager, and they're going to begin that assessment and referral process. So depending on what your situation is, but they do need to get information, confidential information. We do not share anything that you give to us with CCS, because we have to follow the HIPAA guidelines. Just like when you go to the doctor, they have you sign that document saying, and we're going to protect your health information. We have to do the same thing. So we're going to get demographic information. We're going to verify benefit information. That care manager is then going to complete a clinical intake. They do need to ask questions, and sometimes people don't like that. But in order to best serve you, we do need to understand, what are your concerns, right? We need to get some information. We need to do a risk assessment so we can rule out any self-harm, harm to others, what your level of, if there's any substance abuse involved, so that we make sure that we're taking the right path to provide you treatment or services. So the member's going to receive a recommendation. It's, based on the clinical information that they gather. And as you can see here, there's various risks or different, ways in which they're collecting that information, deciding on what's the best course of action. And let's just say for short-term general concerns, the member has several ways in which they can use the EAP sessions. So when you call in, you have various ways in which you can use the service. We still provide in-person, so face-to-face counseling. Some people are comfortable with that, and some folks are saying, I'm not ready to go back face-to-face. Well, then we provide you that option of video counseling, telephone, chat, or messaging. So that's what we call My Help. So we're going to let you know that you have those options as well if you choose not to do face-to-face, or you can do face-to-face. So here's the path you're going to take. If you're going to do face-to-face, we're then going to warm transfer you and get that appointment scheduled. We're going to call the provider together. But sometimes the members say, you know what, I can do it myself. So whatever makes sense and whatever you're comfortable with, that's what we're going to do. All right. So just wanted to give you an idea of what that looks like. So I also wanted to, kind of give you a little bit of a case study and talk to you about how, how we're helping people with personal issues. So here you see on the screen, John was prescribed a number of medications to treat depression and mood issues. Whenever stress mounted, he started to reach for more pills, which was beginning to affect his performance at work. So we did say John, but Jack called Health Advocate. He had talked to an EAP clinician, and they talked with him about how he was feeling at the moment, provided him that in the moment support to help him, to feel a little more calmer so that we can work through what the issue is, what the concerns are, and improve the outcomes of his outreach. The EAP clinician talked with the member about his substance use, what and how often and how long was he using it, and an effect that it could have on his depression. determine if the member may need a higher level of care. Because if the member is using on a daily basis, and depending on how much they're using, they're going to need potentially need detox. So that's a higher level of care that then needs to be discussed. And then the clinician offered some techniques to help him to manage the stress, and then connected him, excuse me, to resources specializing in substance abuse. Pardon me. So this is support that we are providing anytime, anywhere. So as I mentioned, it's in the moment telephonic support. So when I say in the moment, you could be having a bad day. You could be, again, you could have just had a conversation with a colleague that maybe left you a little unsettled. You can call and get some in the moment support to work through that frustration. Maybe that was a tough conversation and you're like ready to scream and you just need to bounce something off somebody. And maybe you don't want to tell your coworkers because you're concerned about whatever you may be concerned about. Talk to somebody who can be objective. Again, virtual telehealth, our platform is called My Help. We provide text, telephone, chat, or video counseling. And again, the face-to-face. So for Columbus City Schools, you do have a face-to-face model that offers you up to 4 sessions. So you can see a clinician. If you're going to do it face-to-face, you can see them up to 4 times. Same thing if you choose not to do face-to-face. If you're going to do the My Virtual method and do telephone, text, video, it's still up to 4 sessions. So we have some web-based support and resources that are available to you. As I mentioned, our website is really, it's full of information. There's a blog that provides a lot of mental health information. It's full of resources, so you can take a look at that website when you have some time. I think you're going to find a lot of great tools. There's articles, there's lots of tips, there's videos, there's interactive courses on leadership, how to be a better leader. There's information on maybe even recognizing when a coworker is depressed. Because oftentimes we go to work and we share with our coworkers, right? Because we consider them a friend. Well, sometimes we want to, be able to say, you know what, this might be a good opportunity for you to reach out to the EAP because that's something that they could help you with. Because sometimes it could be too much, to put that on our coworkers, or you feel like you're taking on too much of their problems when you've got your own issues, right? So you want to maybe guide them to the EAP or encourage them to reach out to the EAP. So please, when you have a moment, please take some time to go out to the website and poke around. I have mentioned the My Help, and I apologize, my slide was out of order, but this is just a good way to increase the accessibility in lieu of face-to-face. And really, this really came about because of the pandemic. Obviously, in 2020, people weren't going out. Once the pandemic hit, you had to find other ways to, to get care. We still needed to have conversations and interact with people, people who were already in therapy. You don't want to stop something when things are going well. So these are other ways in which you can continue that therapy. So I want to talk to you about the work life, the legal and financial support that we can provide. So when we talk about work-life support, so elder care, child care, legal concerns, financial, time management, all of those things. So sometimes it's really difficult to, balance work and life, right? You're trying to, well, from a teacher's perspective, my sister is a teacher, so I get to hear all of her teacher stories. And they're pretty fascinating to me. Some of the things that she shares with me, I'm just amazed. And I say, God bless you to teachers, because I just can't even imagine. But trying to be a teacher, and then you come home and you've got your own kids, and then you've got your parents, and you're trying to balance, your parents need things from you, your children need things from you. So it is a balancing act. So this is where Health Advocate can come in and assist you. So to give you an example, I wanted to give you a case study, give an example of some of that support where Jenny was going through a difficult divorce. In this case, this is a divorce with no family nearby, no idea how to find a lawyer. Her stress and depression were getting worse day by day, and it was impacting her job. So Jenny reached out to Health Advocate and she connected with an EAP professional who assessed her symptoms and provided some short-term counseling and stress management techniques, then referred her to a specialist for additional support for her depression. She connected with an attorney for a complimentary 30-minute consultation and explained that if she decided to retain this attorney, then she was eligible for a 25% discount on those legal fees. 25% is 25%, right? When it comes to legal fees, because they can range $300 to $500 an hour if you've ever hired an attorney. So that's a nice feature as well, where you're going to get a discount on those attorney fees. So as I talk about those legal services, so that's where I want you to know, we can talk about, we have services that can address criminal law, general and civil law, elder law, separation and divorce, as I mentioned, domestic family law, real estate. So we can address the whole gamut. And then when we talk about professional financial services, same thing. You're going to get that 30-minute consultation. It's per issue from a financial expert, and they're going to help to alleviate those financial worries and help you become financially fit. So this is in the areas of credit management, debt counseling. If you're, trying to, set up a budget for yourself and trying to figure out how to get out of debt. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, sometimes it can be overwhelming to see, well, how am I ever going to get out of debt? Helping you to budget your money, restoring your credit. Restoring your credit is huge right now, as well as identity theft. Obviously, with the cybersecurity, cyber issues of, identity theft is a huge thing. Home refinancing, student loans, which is a huge thing, right? People are still trying to figure out how to pay off their student loans after 10 or 15 years. So that's a free consultation as well to talk about your financial issues. So before I go into my next piece, I want to just check to make sure see if there are any questions. Doesn't appear that we have any questions in the chat, but if somebody wanted to come off mute and if you have any questions, please let me know.
I have a question.
Sure.
The services are still for anyone who, what about people who are retiring? Can they still use these services?
That is a good question, but I would have to leave that to CCS to answer that question. It just depends on what they offer, if they offer services to members who are on COBRA or retirees. So that I'm not clear on. I apologize. You stumped me. So Smita, that might be a follow-up question for us to look into.
Yeah, I am not really for sure on that question either. But was that, Cheryl, was that you who asked that question?
No. I can reach out to benefits and find out. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. So if there are any other questions, it looks like I do have a little more time. And I wanted to make sure that I also shared with you, I'm just going to turn my camera off for a second. I also wanted to share with you additional resource that is available to you. So I covered the EAP, which I know is very important. And mental health is extremely important right now. And May is Mental Health Month. So please, tap into your mental health benefits, whatever, find out what's available to you, look at all of the services that are available to you. And again, if you are a manager or a supervisor, we can work with you, on subordinate issues as well as supporting you. But one additional piece to this service, to what CCS is providing you, and this service is, again, it's free to you and your family members that I mentioned. This is our advocacy service. We are an advocacy company. We help people with their healthcare and insurance related issues. So what does that mean? So your personal health advocate can help you in many ways. They can coordinate care with different providers. They can provide support for medical conditions. They can help you find the right doctors and services, research and arrange a second opinion. So if you receive, a diagnosis that you may not be happy with, which is you have this diagnosis and you have to have surgery, you may not be happy about having surgery. You're not sure you want to have surgery. Maybe it's your fourth surgery and you're saying, you know what, there's got to be an alternative. We can work with you to find a second opinion, do some research and arrange that second opinion to see if surgery is the end all be all. Perhaps there is alternative treatment available to you. We can help with paperwork issues like billing, claims, many other things, and provide you with special help, again, for your parents and parents-in-laws. So one of the things, and I myself, my mother will often come to me and asking me questions about Medicare, but I don't have the answers. I don't know the details about Medicare. It's also another very complex system. So it's very comforting for me to be able to then refer her to one of my advocates, because we do have a Medicare specialist on staff. We have loads of Medicare information and different ways in which we can help the parents and parents-in-laws navigate their Medicare questions, concerns, or even just preparing, I think the word is preparing for retirement. So lots of resources available for that as well. One of the number one things that people come to us for is they need help with confusing and time-consuming paperwork. If you've ever called the carrier, it can be very time-consuming. You've got to go through the various prompts, and no disrespect to them, but this is what we have to do. But when you call Health Advocate, you are going to get a live person. Again, we are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're going to get a live person, and we're going to help you work through. We can examine those medical bills. We can, look for claims, look at your claims for accuracy, because maybe you weren't billed correctly. And I'll tell you, my first 6 months that I was here at Health Advocate, I was able to then reach out to an advocate because I received a claim myself for a service that my son never had. We went to the doctor's appointment and had planned, it was an allergy appointment, had planned to do a breath test, but we never did it. The doctor agreed, but he never took it off the paperwork. So when I got the bill, I was billed an additional $450 to breathe into a machine. So as you can imagine, I was taken back by that. I sent it over to an advocate and let her know this never happened. She needed to call the billing office. She needed to call the carrier. She called the doctor's office. Well, those were all those phone calls that, to be honest with you, I would have done while I was sitting at my desk. And our goal is to keep you focused at work and doing what you need to do, and we'll do all that work for you so that you're not making all those phone calls and doing all those different things when you need to be focused on your family or what you need to get done at work, things like that. We can do all that for you. We can explain your coverage, coordinate benefits. We can facilitate any necessary pre-authorizations for care. So like any medical equipment, medications, there are still a lot of those things out there that require pre-authorization. We can review those medical bills to identify and correct any duplicates or any erroneous charges, and then research ways to reduce any prescription drugs or other costs, because prescription drugs are really out of control in terms of the cost of some of these drugs, and people are struggling to pay for their prescriptions. We will look for, discount programs. We also have a prescription savings tile. We call it a tile on our website that you can click on and see if it'll save you some money. We can also help to negotiate payment arrangements. So unfortunately, sometimes, you get that medical bill and it's $5,000 and you can't pay that right away. It can go to collections. Well, our advocates can reach out to the collections office or biller or whomever it is and set up that whole payment arrangement so that it doesn't continue in collections and it strike against you in some way. And if it's $20 you can pay a month or $20 a week, we'll get that all worked out, get it signed, and that provider or whomever that person is that's collecting will agree to the terms, and then things can, be a little less stressful. So I just wanted to let you know that that is an additional piece to our services that we provide you. So not only are we your employee assistance provider, we are also your personal health advocate. Did anyone have any questions? I guess.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can, sure.
Yes, hi. I have a question as far as a phone number to, is it like a phone number to call or going online for the health advocate?
Yes, and I apologize. I should have put that at the end of my slide. So yes, and Samantha, where is our information posted? I know you guys have it somewhere on your internally.
Yep, that's right. So we have Health Advocate posted on the benefits page, and we also have a link posted on our wellness website. I'm going to go ahead and drop in the link of where it is on our wellness website for you to check out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. 1 second.
Yeah, that was an important piece that I left out. Actually, it's on the previous presentation, but I told Samantha I had some new slides with some fresh new look, and I did not include the phone number, so I apologize for that.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm going back to the counseling thing. So you're saying it's 4 sessions a year, a month? What is that? Is it once a year?
So what the sessions are, it is up to 4. It's per issue. So per person per issue. So to give you an example of what that means. So like if you called, let's say it's May, and you called because you were getting a divorce. That's one of the examples in the slide, talked about a divorce. So if you called and you wanted to talk through your divorce, talk about your divorce because you were feeling depressed and, how am I going to manage? And this is like a shock to me. I was totally caught off guard kind of thing. So that's one issue. But if you called back then and let's just say 3 months later and you experienced a death of a family member, well, that's a completely different issue because now you're talking about loss and grief versus previously it was a divorce. So that's what I mean by a per issue.
All
Does
right.
that make sense?
Yeah, that makes much more sense.
Yeah. Just rolling through this just to see if there was anything else you wanted me to.
Jane, there was a question about finding information about access to a counselor or psychiatrist.
Well, when you're reaching out to the health advocate, reaching out to the EAP, you're going to work within the EAP network,
Mhm,
and you're going to work with that clinician within the network for those 4 sessions.
Okay.
However, if let's say your issue requires more than just four sessions, when we look for that clinician, we want to make sure we're going to try to make sure that that person is already in your behavioral health network. So once you've completed the 4 sessions within the EAP and you need more time, let's say outpatient, then you're going to be accessing your medical
Yes.
behavioral health benefit. So then that's when we're going to be looking for those clinicians within the medical network. So then that's a network of providers, psychologists, social workers, the whole gamut.
Okay.
A much wider network, but when you're working within the EAP, that's a different type of certification. So it's a different group of folks.
Just as an add-on to anyone on the call who had the same question, a good place for you to look to find a provider is through United Healthcare. If you have insurance through our district, they have a tool on there where you can search behavioral health, where you'd be able to find someone in your network and close by to you. If you're looking for someone who speaks a specific language, you're able to find a provider in that network who meets your specifications of what you're looking for. This is a great question. And Jane, I know this is in your background. So are you able to describe the difference between a social worker, a clinical worker, and or a psychiatrist?
Well, it's the training. It's really all about the training. So my license is a licensed social worker, and then there's a licensed clinical social worker. So then your focus is more it's a more clinical perspective. The training is just different. And then you've got like people who want to be marriage and family counselors, marriage and family therapist, or a licensed professional counselor. So it's really just the training and probably the philosophy behind that training. But then when it comes to like us, or even like with a psychologist, same thing. Psychologist, the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist is the psychiatrist is medically trained.
Yeah, is an MD.
And is an MD, medically trained, who prescribes medication.
That's correct.
Most psychiatrists don't do therapy these days anymore. Their primary focus is medication, but they're out there. But their primary focus is medication.
Okay.
And then the psychologist, they do not prescribe meds. They just do clinical therapy. Yeah. So I wanted to, since I have a second, I wanted to just share with you, I'm going to share my screen with you again and just show you briefly what the website looks like. This is the actual, when you go to the employee assistance, the EAP and work life drop down. I don't have access directly to yours, so I'm in someone else's account, but it's all the same. But when you go out to your account, you'll see EAP and work life across the top. When you click on that, it's going to bring you to this page right here. So this is where you can then poke around and just get a lot of information. This, again, May is Mental Health Month. So we put out a lot of information focusing on, mental health matters and make it a priority. There's lots of information in terms of, we do have like news alerts, and our news alerts are really based on what's current in the world. And right now, obviously there's huge focus on the war. And then also, unfortunately, the Buffalo mass shooting. So those are our news alert sections when, things like that are going on that are like national or international. We'll put that there. And then there's some feature things like managing grief. So we have a webinar grief, illness, and family caregiving. There's tips for grief and mourning, and then there's a lot of other resources. But this is where I was talking about the different tiles. We call these tiles. So we have a lot of resources as it relates to COVID. There's so many resources here, like just returning to, when we were not in school, and then when we returned to school, and, just how to manage that whole process of going back into the classrooms and people wearing masks and things like that. So we have a lot of information as it relates to that. There's other resources, self-directed courses. There's assessments. You can also do like an assessment, like a depression assessment, just if you're feeling like, gosh, you know what, I have been depressed, but am I really depressed? Just because you're depressed because you're sad doesn't mean you're depressed. So you can take an assessment to sort of see where you are. Everybody feels blue once in a while. It depends on what's going on in our lives. Doesn't necessarily mean you're depressed. So you can take an assessment to just give you some, a little bit more insight. We have these webinars where you can do some goal setting. There's budgeting, mindfulness, stress, resilience, a lot of great webinars here. Emotional well-being. We talked about the legal, the financial. One of the nice things too here is that you can also go in here and create a will. It's a simple will. I mean, if you have $1 million, I would say talk to an attorney. But a simple will you could do right here. We have all the paperwork here, and you get it notarized and you're all set there. Relationship issues, caregiving, parenting, lots of information, personal growth. You want to some managing work and family, or just, personal development. And then health stuff. So there's a lot of health information. So we have a blog. There's a lot of recipes. We have a financial fitness center. There's a personal legal center, and the mindfulness. So mindfulness is really, really big. It's how to live in the moment, staying in the moment and being present in the moment, and how to approach stressful situations. So that's a really important topic. But you can, like I said, you can come here. There's a lot of different links, a lot of helpful links. So frequently asked questions, there's some HR information, there's college information, housing, depression, anxiety, drug and alcohol. So as you can see, there's so much stuff here. You could be just looking for days. We do have a video, so if you want to learn, hear some more things about our EAP. We have Spanish information out there as well. This is really where our communication sits, where a lot of our communication information is. And then the work-life services, as I mentioned, like childcare, elder care. So there's a lot of things over here as well. We send out a monthly newsletter, and hopefully that's posted to it's an internal link somewhere where Samitha was referring to. That information should be posted there. And then as it relates to the employee assistance program, what is it? And I mentioned all of these different things. There's a video that talks about it. It's about a 3.5-minute video. But I gave you a little bit of an overview today. So again, if you have some, when you have some time, and I understand, you're overwhelmed with a lot of information. I completely get it, because I'm in the same boat. When you have a moment, please take an opportunity to just get familiar with the information. At least that way you're familiar with it, instead of when that crisis hits and you're in a panic and you don't know where to go, because now you're in a panic and you can't remember, what was that website? I don't even know where to go. What can they do? Happens all the time, and then people don't know what to do. So familiarize yourself with the information, and then it helps you be a little more calmer in the moment when you need it.
And if you don't mind, Jane, I'm going to show everyone where they can find that information on our
Yeah,
wellness
do.
website.
Let's
I'm going to
check.
go ahead and share my screen really quickly.
Yep.
You know, the last couple years, I understand have been so hard working in education, and we have to acknowledge that, right? So, you know, it is definitely such a valuable resource to use our EAP because you're already really paying for that through your benefits. It's something that anyone in your entire extended family can use. So, you know, even if you hear of anyone in your building that wants some extra support, it is there if you need it. Let me see. Can everyone see my screen? Jane, are you able to give me a thumbs up? Can you see it yet?
Yep, I see it. Mhm.
Okay. And are you able to see the EAP information on my screen?
I do.
Okay, perfect. So the way that you would find the EAP information on our website, so say that you're on CCS's main page, you can get to our wellness website by hovering over staff. It's taking a second to load, sorry about that. So under staff, go to wellness. And then under current wellness programs, hit the drop-down menu and you'll see employee assistance program. And if you were to overhear someone in your building talking about it and need some help finding the information, it is all here. And we're also always doing a crossover and promoting the information that Jane showed you during the presentation, like the newsletters. They have great publications that they send out. We're always cross-promoting it here on our wellness website. And you might have seen these flyers and even the brochure that we send out with health advocate information at your buildings. But if anyone's looking for it, if you want to put some of these in your staff lounge, please do, and continue to encourage people, your colleagues, your family members, anyone to use the EAP Health Advocate. And that's all I had. Let's see. So I think this might be a good time to go ahead and drop in the evaluation link. I will go ahead and do that now. And just a reminder, the expectation is that you complete this link right after the session is over to receive credit.